Hello all! Do I have anything new to report? No, not really. No. So, on to the review. In the Netherlands, I am going to be doing my final exams in a few years, I don't know when yet. And one of these exams is going to be on language. Now, for language, you have to read a list of books and then be able to talk smartly about them. And of course, there's a very important rule for this list. Only adult books. And, I get the rule because you don't want people to put Animorphs on the list. But sometimes you read a book for young people and you're like, it's a real shame this book isn't on that list. And that is the case with Holes. I just realized I forgot to mention anywhere what the author's name is. And I don't know the author's name. And I don't have Wi-Fi up here. Okay, fine. You know what? I'll put it in the description. This book is very famous, and for good reason. It has one of the best plots I have ever read. It's about a boy named Stanley Yelnats, who gets sent to a detention center for young boys, for young delinquent boys, because he apparently stole sneakers from a very expensive pair of sneakers. And there he has to dig holes in this ground all the day because they're in a desert. Or as the book puts it, if you take a bad boy and make him dig a hole every day in the hot sun, it will turn him into a good boy. That was what some people thought. At first this seems like it's just pointless hard labor, but Stanley soon learns there is more to it than meets the eye. The main reason, like I said, that this book is so popular is because of the genius of the plot. And yes, I did just call it genius, because I think it's really smart. There's three main storylines that only make sense until the end. There's Stanley Yelnats' personal story, the story of his no-good, dirty, rotten, pig-stealing great-great-grandfather who went and got the entire family cursed. And there's a story of Miss Catherine, a school teacher, and her black boyfriend, Sam. Each of these stories takes place in a different time, and at first it seems like they have nothing to do with each other. But, trust me, seriously, in the end every single detail makes sense. I can't think of a single detail that the author told that in the end wasn't just a moment of epiphany, that you're like, oh, wait a second, it makes sense now. And it's very smart because when you're first reading it, all these details seem, just details, just normal description like you would expect. And then in the end, boom, it had plot relevance. I said plot relevance again. Oh. Okay, anyway. It's an awesome journey on the first read, and it becomes even more amazing on the second read. I had the same problem with this book as with Les Miserables. There are just too many boys to remember. They're all alike. I couldn't keep them apart. Thankfully though, the important boys all have distinct personalities and are very easy to recognize. The way the other characters are described, they really come to life, and one of them is especially unique, Mr. Mom Pendansky, who is very creepy because on the one hand he's nice, but in the moment he takes a disliking to you, he is very vicious, and even more so than Mr. Sir, who wears his meanness as a trophy. Both of them, however, are overshadowed by the Warden, who is the main antagonist of the book. Zero is a very intriguing character. He doesn't believe in himself because nobody believes in him. They all say he's useless and has got a screw loose. I really appreciated how Zero's relationship with Stanley turned from toxic into a good relationship with a real friendship. Holes is written in a very attractive and easy to read way, but there's still a bit of violence that, I thought it was fine, but other people might disagree. So there's, stories of people dying at first, people getting bit by poisonous lizards and dying in creepy ways because of it, because, it's a poisonous lizard, so obviously you won't just die by passing out, you're gonna die in a very sad way. There's somebody with rattlesnake venom on their fingernails, like what? Let's see, camp counselors refuse to give water to boys who misbehave. There is also lots of verbal bullying of Zero, like I said, because everybody says he's useless. So, stuff like that. This book has one very important point to make. If you repeat often enough that somebody is a failure, they will become one. Both Stanley and Zero have grown up their entire lives with this idea that they are just not destined to have any success. So when bad things happen to them, they just shrug it off and go on with their life, not really doing anything. Since everybody around them kind of agrees with this assessment, they don't really try to give them any valuable help or support. Sometimes they even say stuff like, don't try to help them, it's hopeless, without even meaning it in a bad way. It takes Stanley and Zero a long time before they finally realize that they are in fact capable of changing their lives. And when that moment comes, it's pretty awesome. Walls is a good book in all the ways. It has a wonderfully clever plot, complex and interesting characters, and good messages. It is a textbook description of quality literature. It has messages about the dangers of greed and about having confidence in yourself and other people. If you have any time at all, I suggest you read it because it is very much worth your time.